Greetings, hi, hello, welcome back, and/or welcome to my page. I'm Fire Lotus the Witch, and welcome. So there's going to be a video descripted below in the description. If you have not seen that, go check that out and then come back here. This right here is the mediumship, my journey of mediumship. This is going to be the part 2. There's going to be all different types of information on specifically the channeling and the medium aspect in that, and tips and tricks that I've learned along the way to help me out. We're going to start that out with, so for one, due to an interview that I had, also, if you haven't already subscribed, hit that icon, hit the bell icon so you get all the notifications when I go live, and go ahead and hit that subscribe and send this to somebody who may need it. Anyways, so it is very important to note that, and as a teacher and a mentor, I learned this from another author that I dearly love, Christopher Penczak, absolutely amazing books, The Temple of Witchcraft specifically. But in the interview that we gave, you can find that on my podcast here or on Spotify. During that interview, they mentioned how important it is for us to describe the things that we're experiencing. A lot of the times, people will use the term visualization. To some people, visualization, it automatically gives us that image of like we have a projector in our heads, right? Or it's like a hologram. To some, it could be, and to others, it isn't. And the reason that is aphantasia. I hope I said that right. It is basically, and I'm going to show you a little picture really quick, of how people see things in their head and to the level. So this right here being the clearest, and then this right here where you see absolutely nothing. With me, I'm between 2 and 3, okay? 2 to 3, so I can see it sometimes very clearly, and sometimes it's almost grainy or black and white. Why am I talking about this, and why is this important? Because you have to figure out what your ability is and how to access that. Now, if you listen to part 1, I learned that I had that ability. For one, I've always been claircognizant. At one point in time, I visually used to see full body apparitions if they showed themselves, or I would see to a degree or image in my head as a silhouette. That's typically how I see them now due to an experience. You can check that out on my profile already, and/or I'll try to link it in the description of, I thought I was advanced and doing more advanced things than I should, and I went through this meditation. It scared the hell out of me, and it kind of scarred me on my sight. So when I go to read people, I see impressions inside of my head or inside my mind. Sometimes I will sense them. Sometimes it's just because I do have claircognizance, which is just clear knowing. Basically what I mean by clear knowing, so I do have an eternal dialogue to a degree, multiple of them. Some people don't. Yes, you heard that right. There are some people who they're inside their head is just silent. Sometimes my brain, because I have ADHD, neurospicy here, my brain works 10 times faster than my own body does most of the time. So sometimes that claircognizance is that clear knowing. It is a thought or information that just clear as day just popped into my head. So you know the animation where it's like you get a little bubble of a text message? Sometimes my intuition is like that, okay? Now, the channeling aspect I'm still getting to. Now, specifically, I use oracle cards to help anchor. What do I mean by the anchor aspect? So, you know, when it comes to card readings and other mediums, they will give the universal channel and or a collective read or collective channel. I have a hard time with that because I do not connect with you, okay? So during my readings, my spell work, anything like that, I do not collectively connect to your energy, okay? Because a lot of people in the witchy world, they're like, oh, well, that's an energy exchange. For me, it's not. Why? Because I go to the source. I go to your spirit team. Ancestors, spirit guides, deities, or any other beings or energy or spirits you work with and or that are surrounding you. Yes, we all have them. You can do multiple exercises to identify them. 9 times out of 10, you probably already know them. You just don't realize you know them. But I connect with them. That's important because that spirit team or those spirit teams give me an anchor so I can anchor myself to the source that I'm trying to read. If I were to try to connect to the collectiveness, it gets a little weird. But Lotus, how did you get to this point? For one, it is extremely important to note that, and again, I always say this is not a flex. I have been doing this, reading cards, energy exercises. I started my journey into witchcraft at the age of 11 and 12 as researching, and I fully came out of the broom closet at the age of 13. I did not know or even think that I was anywhere near a psychic or medium, which I do not like the term psychic because we're not predicting your future. We're just giving you insight and foresight. I did not really start, that did not start to click in my head until I was about my mid 20s. I knew that I had abilities. Another ability that I have, I call second sight, but it is also what most people call as remote viewing. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, basically the best way that I can describe it is I can project my sight outside of my body. So I can be here, and if I have a location, I can see that location, kind of like, imagine if you could turn yourself into Google Earth, like that. It's not astral projection, but it is very similar. Astral projection is where you're projecting your soul or spirit outside of your body and you're going into the astral world. Let me know if you would like a video on that. I don't really do it, but I do know a couple of things about it. You're like, Lotus, what the fuck does this have to do with channeling and things like that? It's all connected. We all have six senses and we all have psychic abilities. It's just others don't tap into theirs, or they disbelieve that it is there. But in reality, we're going to talk about the channeling aspect, and these are things that I myself am still discovering. Specifically, like I mentioned in the first part, I realized that I had a really good book, and what I mean by I realized that I can read cards. Now, this deck I'm still learning. This is, by the way, this is the Appalachian Spirit. Absolutely amazing. So the original Halloween deck that I had, the book that it came with, which I always pulled out, vanished, disappeared. My partner told me, read the damn cards. And I literally learned that I can read the cards, but it's slightly different than reading tarot, because each oracle deck has different meanings. And specifically the deck that I have, it only has 1 to 2 words or just a picture on it. And to me, that helps me. And you're like, Lotus, what is the difference? Tarot and oracle, it all depends on the reader. No matter the deck, no matter the cards, it all depends on the reader and how you perceive that information. With me, I kind of get impressions and or feelings on things. Now, this did take an extremely long amount of time, probably about 10 to 15 years, to kind of really focus in on, and I'm still doing it to this day. So the first advice that I have is try to find a group of people, 1, 2, or 3 people that are not going to be biased. They're not just going to be like, oh my God, yes, Lotus, that was great. In reality, it did not resonate with them whatsoever. But you need a small group of people, 1 or 2 people, that you can periodically, I say, use as like a miniature guinea pig. Obviously, you're going to get their consent and stuff like that to be able to read, to be able to figure out what works with you. Cards may be it. There are people that don't need the cards. I am not to that point where I don't need the cards. But in general, these exercises that I'm about to express is going to help you tap into them. And then we're also going to go over a book, and we're going to go over 3 things, and I'm going to go ahead and do those now. There are 3 primary types of channeling, okay? By the way, this book is going to be descripted below, and the author and their socials are also going to be descripted because they're absolutely amazing. So the first one, mental channels. So there's mental channeling, vocal channeling, and physical channeling. Mental channeling involves receiving transmissions through thoughts or mental processes. These often refer to downloads and can range from subtle nudges to profound, complex understandings. These messages can come at any moment, and the more we practice, basically deciphering the differences, the source of different mental streams in our minds, these clear and transmissions become. A well-known example is mental channeling is claircognizance, where the individual just knows something without receiving that information through learning or experiences. That is what I have. I sometimes just know things. The other one is vocal channeling. Vocal channels are mostly widely recognized forms of channeling. This occurs when someone speaks, sighs, or even produces sound or noise in a way that feels directed or guided by an external force. Vocal channeling is one of the oldest forms of transmission, deeply immobile in almost every culture and religion, from ancient oracles to modern-day spiritual teachers. The concept of the divine speaking through the individual is a common trend. Vocal channeling requires a person to eternalize the energy within, so it essentially to allow yourself to express the eternal energies without holding back. And then we have the physical channel manifestations through the body, translating energy into physical sensations. This type of transmission can be felt by individuals or by those around them. Examples including chills, temperature shifts, restlessness, or a sense of tightness or openness. It In some cases, physical channelers may carry a sense of dark energy, clear air, or even tension, indicating the presence of something being transmitted. Physical channelers are also acts as signals, transmissions unseen energy into tangible experiences. Now, I have experienced some of that, but specifically, I'm a mental channel with a slight vocal. The reason I say the vocal is because when I channel, my body becomes a conduit for the spirit, and sometimes I experience what I call spirit word vomit, which is just spirit speaking through me. Now, my vocals in themselves do not necessarily change, but sometimes I will pick up an accent or a specific dialogue, but mostly mental channels. Now, here are some exercises that may or may not help. For one, this will help you with your psychic abilities, but this is also, if you are in the magical arts, this is also going to help you with energy manipulation, specifically learning to understand the energies around you. I'm an emetheist, which means I believe anything around me has a spirit to a soul. From this chalice to this selenite to this candle, it all has some type of a presence or sentience to it, okay? So, the first one is going to be very easy and very fun, okay? You may need somebody for this one, but if not, you can still theoretically do it. Basically, you're going to find a single object, whether that is a charm, a ring, it doesn't matter. It does need to be semi-small and a physical object. You're going to pick a room that has a lot of shelves and or a lot of stuff in it, okay? You're going to get a person to randomly go hide that thing in that room, okay? After that, you are going to walk in there. You can do this absolutely blindfolded, but just make sure you don't trip or fall. And you're going to use your body like a needle on a compass to sense where this object is. Have fun with it. At any moment in time during these exercises, if you start to get frustrated, you need to stop and completely do something else, okay? These are supposed to be fun. There is no right or wrong. There is no, you're not being graded on this, but these are going to help you reflex and to help you build on this ability, okay? And you're going to repeat those steps over and over again. You can change the object and see how many times you do it. Now, another one that can be semi-dangerous, okay? So we're going to say this is level 2 to level 3, as in you understand there's energy out there that you may not see or you may pick up on, okay? You do need protection, and you do need to get acquainted with graveyard etiquette, cemetery etiquette, and basically haunted locations, okay, or historical locations. You need to make sure you are protected physically, spiritually, and mentally. Number one thing you do when you go there, okay, introduce yourself, saying, hi, hello, I'm so-and-so. I'm just here to kind of hang out and just kind of get the vibe of everything. Most importantly, before you get back in your car or somebody else's vehicle, you are going to turn back and say, hey, none of you, no energy from this location or is allowed to follow me. Please stay here, okay? Now, say you go through the proper steps of introducing yourself, leaving a small offering, and now you're in the cemetery. Again, we're going to act like you are a compass, okay, free-flowing, and let the energy guide you. The point of this exercise is to go up to a grave that you feel familiar with and or you feel the pull to, and then write that information down. And whenever you can, go back, make a list before you leave this location. What comes to you, okay? So there is going to be this aspect of, I'm not going to say clear your mind, because neurospiciness, our minds are never cleared, but there is a way that we can get comfortable and or we can have a trigger that will automatically trigger us into that moment of clarity. There's a lot of different exercises that you can do with this. It does not necessarily require meditation, but to a degree, you're basically conditioning your body to where if you hear this word, if you see this object, or if you feel this object, because it can be anything but small that you can fit in your pocket, you hold it in your hand and that will automatically put you into this trance-like state. I say trance-like state loosely because you're basically just trying to go into what I call magic mode, okay? It's kind of like if you could take your busy mind and put it on the back burner and then bring another clearer thing up front. That's the point of this. But you're going to do that, and you're going to write all the expressions, feelings, emotions, sensations that come to you down on a piece of paper. Then, whenever you can, go back and or have somebody else research that specific grave. If you don't want to do that, because that's a lot of research, you can go to a location. This location, though, does need to be historical, but you do not need to know any information about that location until after you have left there, because you're going to do the same thing. Walk through the location. What do you sense? What do you feel? What do you see? You're going to write all of this down, okay? Or use a voice recorder and record it all, okay? Then after that, and you went through the proper steps and not bringing home anything with you, that's when you do the research and see how many things add up. These are all different techniques to figure out how you were able to use your body as an instrument in a way, okay? There are also loads of different exercises, and there are different types of mediumships. You can do the handwriting where spirit is basically writing through you, or there are some mediums you'll see that are always scribbling. It's scribbled to you, but to them, they see things. I've also used that. It's called automatic writing. Now, again, before you get into the automatic writing or even dowsing rods, you need to make sure that you can psychically protect yourself, because those are, in my case, those are ways that a spirit can latch on to you, okay? Now, the second exercise is you need to go and try to tap into the energies around you. You're like, Lotus, how do I do this? You're going to try to either walk outside and or get a pot that's already planted, a small singular plot. The very first time I did this, it was a dandelion that was growing right next to the sidewalk. You're going to go up to it, and basically the point of this, so if you can visualize or see things in your mind's eye, this is going to come into play. If not, you'll be able to sense it. You're going to try to push your energetic force outside of your hand. So imagine this hand stays here, and then imagine an energetic hand popping out and touching that plant. When you make contact, energetic content, you will be able to feel those different sensations. This does take repetitiveness. All these exercises, repetitiveness, all right? But that's going to be able to help you sense, because with me, depending on what I'm doing, because I have gone to haunted locations and blessed them, and or I'm a psychopump, so I have help spirit transition over. That's what I mean by the compass and the little needle. There's a way that you can turn your energetic force to be able to not push out of you fully, but to slightly come out to where you can sense the things around you, all right? It's all about sensing. You're also going to have to be in tune with your body, all right? And this is not talked about enough. You need to tap into your body and listen to your body and figure out what is your normal level of you just being here, okay? Especially if you have anxiety, because spirit and spiritual sensations or spiritual energy can actually trigger physical anxiety with us, okay? So you're going to need to get to a point where, okay, this is my physical anxiety. This is something outside of me that is triggering that anxiety, all right? I call it spirit anxiety, but it is a thing. So those are 3 exercises right there. The third exercise, you're going to need a white sheet and or somewhat of a white wall, okay? You can use another person, but you can also use a plant, a pet, if you can get them to sit still enough. You're going to have somebody sit in front of that wall, and you're going, however they can, but sit there or stand there, okay? You're going to look directly past them like this, all right? The point of this exercise is to actually start seeing auras. In order to see the auras, and the way what you're trying to do with this is basically you're trying to break your eye's concentration, okay? You know those moments where you've seen something in the corner of your eye? That's because it's in between. Right now, you're doing the exact same thing, where you're going to try to literally see about 2 to 3 inches away from them, about right here. And once you do, there's going to be this either white, silver, or almost a mix of colors, but it's almost transparent line that's going to highlight their body or the plant or the dog. Congratulations, you just saw the first layer of your aura, and it extends out about like 6 or 7 feet to 8 feet away from us. Depending on the colors, you need to research your own color information, because again, I've always said this when it comes to color theory, what one color could mean to you or the rest of the world could mean something entirely different to the other person. But these are small exercises to get you to figure out how you can kind of stimulate that side to you, okay? Most importantly, here are some things that you do not need to do starting off. There's this trend going on all the socials where they try to bust open their third eye for specific sight, okay? You do not need to focus on sight right now. Some of the most advanced practitioners and advanced mediums and other gifted spiritual people that I've met, they don't use sight the way that you think they do, okay? One of the main reasons is when it comes to the spiritual world, there's a lot of spirits all around us, okay? I'm not even going to lie. They're literally everywhere, right? At the same time, though, we kind of go about our lives. But it's the moment that you see them and the moment they realize you see them, they're going to draw to you. When we access our abilities, we like flicker on. All right. Me personally, I am not spiritually active 24/7. Now, obviously, there are moments and times where my spirit team will come through and be like, yo, I do get downloads, but I'm not constantly seeing spirits around me. I can sense them, but typically I will create my own tradition or ritual to be able to let them know, hey, today's a reading day. We're here for it. I have reached another point where I am getting those signals outside of my house where I'm walking and somebody passes me and I'm like, oh, their grandmother wants to talk to them. I'm not going up and relaying a message to them because you never know where somebody else is at. To you, it is a heartfelt message from a loved one. To them, it could be the last thing they needed to hear, and it pushes them in a way that we don't want to be pushed, right? So always respect boundaries. But do these exercises and have these groups of people or one or two people that you can periodically do it. Again, you've kind of got to, the biggest thing that you need to work on is making sure fear is not holding you back. Self-doubt is not holding you back. The amount of times that I've given somebody a reading and I've now reached the point where this is what I'll say. I'll be like, look, what I'm about to say may not make any fucking sense to you whatsoever. If not, that is completely okay. And then I'll finish. I'm going to sound completely crazy when I say this. Those are normally those key points because I'm also somewhat of an evidential medium, which means if you come to me for a reading and your spirit team comes through, they're going to relieve information to me that I'll relay to you that there's no other way that I would know. I've said this in other videos and I've said it in the first one. I've described locations, I've described people, I've received names of people and places that I've never met, never seen, don't know. It's building confidence in that ability to receive that message while also, most importantly, getting to a point where your brain is cut off in a way, as in your own thoughts are not interfering with this reading. Because as a medium, as a channeler, I know that not everything that I channel is from spirit, which is also why I tend to do blind readings. Blind readings are basically, I know nothing of the person except for their name. I don't know anything that's going on in their life. I don't search them on social media. I don't do any of that shit. Why? Because the more that I know about a person before I go into that reading, it becomes biased. Because I've been through a lot in 32 years. I could be like, yo, I've experienced this. Here's my advice versus what spirit would say. So it's just a kind of a fail-safe, for an example. And yeah, you're going to have to repeat these over and over again and work. But most importantly, you can go out and buy every book. Again, this is going to be listed below. This is called Conscious Channeling. It is a 4-week course and guide journal, okay? It is absolutely amazing. This book has helped me out with a lot of stuff more than almost any book that I have on psychics and mediums and stuff like that. Podcast, resources, okay? Watch other people, listen to other mediums. But no, you are not going to read or experience spirit the way that they do. We are all uniquely different. In that uniqueness is how you tap in to that magic, all right? To that sensing. Also, call upon your spirit team. I already have a full-length video, but you need to start practicing Spiritual 30-Day Challenge. I know it sounds like a weird name, but I promise you it will work. The reason it works is because that challenge, it helps you, A, to receive messages from your specific spirit team. It also shows your specific spirit team that you are open and fully ready to receive these messages. And in the course of 30 days, once you start it, you probably won't stop. You build that line of communication, and both your spirit team and you will be able to interpret those messages and know what messages to send you, because spirit can and will use the world around us to relay messages to us. When I first started this, I would randomly smell scents that would remind me of a specific ancestor, or I'd have to call my mom and be like, hey, did we have any ancestor that loved this or that or this and that? And the moment in time that I was like, oh, okay, hey, what is up, Aunt so-and-so? It would go away. That's spirit's way of validating. Also, it takes time to spirit to transition over, okay? Basically, depending on how they passed is depending on how long it takes them to transition over. So if you have somebody that has passed away within the past 24 hours, you're not technically going to be able to connect with them because they have to go through their own transit. Which is, yes, if you see a lot of those psychics who are trying to connect with people who died within 24 hours of them doing that, take everything you see online with a grain of salt, okay? That's all I'm trying to say on that. I'm not trying to say who is or who isn't one. But we all have this ability, okay? But most importantly, this newer thing, this newer trend on all socials is to just open your third eye. You don't need to do that, because you slowly working through these exercises, because I cannot sit here comfortably and say that there are not dark things, there are not negative things that go bump in the night out there. That's just idiocy, okay? I hate to say that. Again, it's all about balance. So there are dark things out there, okay? You need to make sure, and there are spirits like you've seen or heard on TV that will present themselves as a small child or a very elderly person. Why? Because it gets us to take our shit down. We're not cautious then. Oh, it's just a little ghost child. They freak me the fuck out. I'm not even gonna lie. They freak me the fuck out. But there are tricksters out there. There are other things that will portray themselves as something, which is why discernment needs to come in. All right. So there are multiple levels to this to be able to gain that comfortability. And as always, I would not start charging people. It took many years before and I still started out when it came to my readings. Because again, I thought at one point in time, I was just giving you oracle readings. No, come to find out, they're all channeled messages. Mediumship readings. So, and as somebody else said online, just because we have spiritual gifts, we don't necessarily need to turn that into a business. I know times are tough with everybody, okay? I'm saying in general though. But be careful, okay? Never let a spirit ride with you. Never say, hey, I'll take you home or anything like that. Now, my house, we have a spiritual bathhouse set up, or I've set it up. And what that is basically just extra energetic rooms for those spirits to kind of hang out with. There are levels to it, because you can get messages from negative spirits, or what I call hot spirits. But they're not here just to fuck you up. But yeah, most importantly, you cannot go into these things with fear. Fear is important because it prevents us from doing something stupid, but fear can also block you, and fear can make you experience things that are not actually there. All right. The very first experience that messed my sight up, I thought it was fear. I feared it because I didn't understand it. It was because it was old as hell, like older than humans. And it was curious. You're going to have spirits. It's just like when a witch performs a circle outside. There are spirits that are going to come forward because they're just curious of like, yo, what's going on? What you doing? But even with your spirit team, you need to decipher them to make sure that you are exactly speaking to your spirit team. Okay. That is why when you summon your spirit team, you're going to directly say your name. I, so-and-so, call my specific spirit team to me. And through the process of different ways, they will be able to reveal themselves. But these energy exercises are the main thing that started me out on this. I've listened to books. I've read books. And a lot of these exercises didn't work for me because a lot of them are not set up for neurospiciness. So if meditating to you is like I used to do, or still to this day, I'll walk outside, I'll pop headphones in, and I have a playlist. I'm not trying to clear my mind. I'm focusing on the music. Because that music is a way that I am stimulated, okay? Clarity can come, but also know that when you go into this and you start to access these abilities, you don't always have a filter on it. And trust me, it can get you in some very sticky situations where you wind up knowing information that you just did not want to know, and now you don't know what to do with, okay? And again, the more you access this, the more you're going to become a beacon or a light to the other world. So you need to make sure you have multiple protections on. Psychic exercises, psychic shielding, physical shielding, physical jewelry, charms, stuff like that. But you need to believe in the symbol. You need to believe that it can protect you. All right. As always, I hope this Wow. Lotus, you're not doing a reading. I hope this made sense. I hope this can help you out. If you have any questions in any way, shape, or form, you can either email me or let me know in the comments, and I will take them down and eventually do a Q&A, because I believe all of this knowledge should be for everybody. And I believe a lot of things, the main thing that's holding a lot of people back is the doubt. And it takes time to build that confidence in what you are saying. All right. So if you have any questions, let me know. If this helped out, share it to a Discord, share it to a group, share it to somebody that may help. And if you haven't already, check this book out. It is amazing. Now, I have not finished it, but everything that I've read so far, it's not full of a bunch of information that's just going to bore you or confuse you. They get down to the point. They keep it clear, very easily understand. And there are pages in here that you can also use it as a journal to help out. And if you haven't already, go subscribe to that follower as well. But yeah, I will see y'all later. And as always, don't forget to like it if you made it to this point. What is your favorite seasonal treat? Let me know in the comments.